Hello, everybody, and welcome or welcome back to the second shelf and to, yes, BookHaul blouse, another BookHaul. I guess it will be the last time for this summer that I'm wearing this blouse if I'm doing a BookHaul because it's too warm. The sleeves are too long and the fabric is just, so I'm like, because we have a heat wave here in Germany with about 35, 37 degrees, which is around 100 in Fahrenheit. So anyway, but today, for the last time, probably for this summer, this BookHaul blouse, but who knows, maybe July will be really cold. And I have bought books. Yes, the first one is this one, Claudia Pinero, Elena Knows, translated from the Spanish by Francis Riddle, published in Argentina because it's an Argentinian author in 2007, I think. And 2021, if I'm not mistaken, in the English translation. But as always, the correct numbers will be down in the description box. This is a book that I came across because it was on the Booker International shortlist. Didn't win, but it was on the shortlist, and it sounded intriguing about a woman, Elena, who lost her daughter. Apparent suicide because she was found hanging in a church, but Elena thinks she was murdered. And Elena has health issues, and then it's a very short book over the course of one day. So it sounded intriguing. Spoiler alert, I have already read it and I really liked it, but I will talk about it in a wrap-up or in a recent read. So that was my first buy. Second, we move on to nonfiction, and that is Life on the Rocks by Julie Berwald, published earlier this year. And this is a buddy read. I'm already started, as you can see, with Heidi from My Reading Life and Doris from All the Books. And you might be familiar with Julie Berwald on my channel because I read her previous book, Spineless. And that I thought was really fascinating. Some people struggled with the combination of personal memoir parts in the book and the jellyfish, because Spineless is about jellyfish. And now I'm not only sweating, but my nose is itching. Sorry about that. But I really enjoyed it. And so when I saw that she had a new book coming out this time about sort of the cousin of the jellyfish, corals and coral reefs, I was immediately intrigued and buddy reading it, thankfully, with two people who know much more about science and biology, Heidi and Doris, than I do, which is always good for me to learn more. And the next one will be a buddy read also with Heidi. And it's another nature book, Michelle Nighas, Beloved Beast, and I'm pronouncing her name in the Dutch way because it's a very Dutch name, but she has a website, and the website is called Rhymes with My House. So I guess she pronounces her name Nighas. This is just what it says on the tin about evolution, fighting for life in an age of extinction. So it's about the evolution and extinction. And Heidi and I read a couple of books on this subject. The last one was, I think, Elizabeth Colbert's book, Under a White Sky, that is also about how we can fight extinction, what can we do in order to reverse some of the not so good influences that we had on this earth. And I think Heidi suggested this book because I don't think I knew it. And it is also not that old. Let me check. Yeah, 2021. So I will be reading this in the ongoing quest to read more books about nature. As you know, I had never really read books about nature other than, the typical, the Darwin stuff. But since I'm friends with Heidi and Doris, they really got me into this, and especially also of course, because they have the Book Naturalist Book Club. But even outside of the book club. Both these are outside of the book club. So I'm all into the nature stuff. Anyway, on to fiction. Next one is for the BookTube Prize, and that is The Five Wounds by Kirsten Valdez Quade, published 2021. I know next to nothing about the book in terms of, I know what it says on the tin, that it's about a family, more than 2 or 3 generations coming together on a certain Christian holiday. But I have to read it. I mean, have to sounds like a chore, but it's one of the books for the BookTube Prize. I'm judging, obviously, fiction in the semifinals, and I have to read 3 books, and this is the first one. I want to read at least this one in June, and then the other 2 in July, because the deadline is end of July, so I will certainly be able to make it. Next up is a modern classic, Harlem Renaissance modern classic. I really have a bad hair day today. We're just going to roll with it. And that is Jessie Redmond Fauset, Plum Bun, a novel without a moral, published in 1928? 29, almost. Almost off by a year, and I'm reading this also as a buddy read with Courtney Ferreter, because we wanted, I think it was Courtney's suggestion, because she saw that this book is on my to read list, and not only that, it's on the 1001 books I have to read before I die list, and she wanted to read this book as well, so we are buddy reading it, and we have started, but our first check-in is on Tuesday. So this is a book about a young woman. By the way, the author, I had never heard of her, but she turns out to be one of the most prominent members of the Harlem Renaissance. And the main character, Angela, is a young woman, girl, really, when the book opens, who lives with her parents and her sister, Virginia, in Philadelphia. And she is, like her mother, very light-skinned. So it's a black family, but she's very light-skinned, so she can pass as white, like her mother. And it's the story of her trying to forge a life as a white person. So that is interesting because if you follow my channel, you know that I really like Passing by Nella Larson. And the subject of passing is something so intriguing to me, and how that works and why people would do that. That when I saw this one, and Harlem Renaissance, and it's on the 1001 book list. So is the next one, and that is a trilogy by Edna O'Brien, The Country Girls. On the 1001 book list is only the first one of the trilogy, which is called The Country Girls, published in 1960. And I've been reading this with Kim from Middle of the Book March, and we have already read it. But again, I will talk about what I think about the book in a wrap-up. It is about young women, 2 in particular, Kate and Baba, growing up in Ireland in the 1950s, and then later in the trilogy in beginning of the 1960s, as you can see from the cover picture, which is more 1960s style of clothing, I would say. And this book, the first book, when it was published in 1960, was really a scandal. Edna O'Brien was almost kicked out of the country because she pictured or she described these 2 young women as, full of life and also sensual. They wanted to have sex and they wanted to have fun, and that was not something you put in a book in Ireland in the early 1960s. So yes, this is also 1001 book. I've said that already, I think. Next up, Another book on the 1001 book list is this tiny little book by Anna Kavan, Ice, published in the 1960s also. Anna Kavan was a British author of the early 20th century. She was born just the beginning of the century and died in the third. But her main work was in the middle, let's say. I don't know. My math is completely off today, I think. But this book has been on my to-read shelf for a very long time, and I actually wanted to read it last year when one of my reading projects was to read modern classic sci-fi books. Modern classics in sci-fi. Whatever, written by women, of course. And this is one of them, because Ice is a dystopian book, sci-fi dystopian. So I'll be reading this with Adam, formerly known as Adam from Memento Mori, and we will start tomorrow, and we will finish it within a week, because it's really a tiny little thing. Then I have two more. Let me reach over here. The first one is a book by an author that I've been meaning to read more, because she is impossible for the 1001 book list, and that is Alice Adams. And this is Southern Exposure. That was not, I have to admit, my absolute first choice of hers. As you can see, it's a best-selling author of Almost Perfect, and I tried to get Almost Perfect, and then I couldn't get it, or at least not in an edition that I liked. And I saw this one, which had mixed reviews. It's a 1995 book. Alice Adams is, by the way, an American author who also was mainly in the 20th century, a little later than Anna Kavan, obviously, if this book is published in 1995. And I have a biography of Alice Adams on my shelf, and she is not yet, with none of her books, on the 1001 book list, but she's a maybe. And so I thought, I saw this one, and I thought, I'm just gonna try this, and then I'll see what I think of her as a writer. Let me just briefly tell you the blurb. It is 1939, a brief hopeful moment between the Depression and the war, and the family, Harry, Cynthia, and their daughter Abby, have escaped the burden of their Connecticut life to salvage themselves in a sleepy southern town in North Carolina. And then it's about that family and their story. I'm not huge with family stories, as you probably know if you follow me, but still I want to delve into Alice Adams, so this is a place to start, as good as any, I figured. And the last one is a crime book, Tana French, The Searcher, which is a quite recent book of hers. Yes, 2020. I read a couple of Tana French's books. I really enjoy them. And this one was suggested by to read as a buddy read with Kim from Middle of the Book March. And we have already a month planned, and I think it's July, but I'm not 100% sure. And this one is about Cal Hooper. He was in the Chicago police for more than 20 years, and now he is bought himself a fixer-upper in a remote Irish village, sort of as an escape. You know, Tana French often has these police procedurals where the policeman or woman escapes from the police and then settles somewhere, this time in an Irish village. And of course, a murder or something, a missing child, I think. A local kid comes looking for his help because the brother of the kid has gone missing. And then, of course, the old investigator investigates. This one is also for the sort of Irish read thing that is going on, that Kim will post a video on Wednesday, and I will also make one. I'm not sure yet when, but I wanted to read a crime novel. I mean, I've always, have a crime novel on the go, so to speak, and this one sounded intriguing. So The Searcher. This is the whole stack. I'm not going to try to lift them up in any good fashion because I'm not good at it. I dropped it for the already for the thumbnail. I dropped the whole stack twice, so I'm not going to try that again. But anyway, and I want to get rid of this blouse because it's just too warm. This was my June book haul. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know if you have read any of those that I hauled and what you think of them. And I'm looking forward to your comments as always, and I'll see you all soon in the next one.